So again, you know, people, they're going to be humans that are left after the Great Tribulation period.
Of course.
Okay, now,
And after Battle of
and
Armageddon.
but right, let's if we go to first of all Revelation chapter 20, and it says, I'm going to go at verse 4, and I saw thrones, and they that sat upon them, and judgment was given unto them. I saw the souls of them that were beheaded for the witness of Messiah and for the word of Elohim, and which had not worshipped the beast with his image, neither had received his mark upon their foreheads or in their hands, and they lived and reigned with the Messiah 1,000 years. So when Messiah reigns on the earth for 1,000 years, we, Israel, who have submitted to Yah, okay, submitted to Yah, return to his instructions, and live out his Torah out of love for him and obedience to him, right? And of course, we're persecuted, and many of us will lose our lives for that. Scripture says we will live and reign with Messiah for 1,000 years.
So,
but who is Messiah going to be reigning over?
the nation. The
Over the
scripture
nation.
said he should rule the nations with a iron rod, a rod of iron.
So that means that there will be people that will survive the Great Tribulation period, right? Well, let's go to Zechariah, Zechariah chapter 14, okay? And
Chapter 14 again speaks of how he's going to come and fight the battle of Armageddon.
yes,
And then what's going to happen next. I mean,
as he finished, it says, verse 9, let's go there.
okay.
Yahweh shall be king over all the earth. It's after the battle, okay, of Armageddon. In that day shall there be one Yahweh, and his name one. Boy, you know what's a good idea? Here's a good idea. Go through your scriptures and take a highlighter. And everywhere where you see his name, it says the name of Yahweh, okay? The name, the name, the name. Just underline it. And you'd be amazed how many places you see where it talks about the name of Yahweh, okay? That shows his name is very important. Here's one of those things you want to underline, okay? His name will be one. And all the land shall be turned as plain from Geba to Rimmon, south of Jerusalem, and it shall be lifted up and inhabited in her place, from Benjamin's gate unto the place of the first gate, unto the corner gate, and from the tower of Hanel unto the king's wine presses. And men shall dwell in it, and there shall be no more utter destruction, but Jerusalem shall be safely inhabited. And this shall be the plague wherewith Yahweh will smite all the people that have fought against Jerusalem. Their flesh shall consume away while they stand upon their feet, and their eyes shall consume away in their holes, and their holes and their tongues shall consume away in their mouth. And it shall come to pass in that day that a great tumult from Yahweh shall be among them, and they shall lay hold every one on the hand of his neighbor, and his hand shall raise up against the hand of his neighbor. And Yehuda also shall fight at Jerusalem, and the wealth of all the heathen round about shall be gathered together, gold and silver and apparel in great abundance. And so shall the plague of the horse, of the mule, of the camel, and of the donkey, and of all the beasts there shall be in these tents as the plague. And it shall come to pass that everyone that is left of all the nations which came against Jerusalem shall even go up from year to year to worship the King Yahweh of the captain of the heavenly host, the heavenly army, and to keep the feast of tabernacles. And it shall come to pass, whosoever do not come up of all the families of the earth upon unto Jerusalem to worship the King Yahweh, captain of the heavenly host, even unto them shall be no rain. And so here we see the nations are going to come up to Jerusalem, okay, to keep his appointed time. So again, what's the purpose of all these sacrificial systems? What's the purpose? The nations, there'll be people who will still be in their flesh. 1,000 years, Yahushua will be reigning as king. He's going to teach them. And what great tool to teach them than his Torah, his laws, his judgments, his statutes, his commandments, and also the sacrificial system. You know what the sacrificial system teaches us?
What's that?
Well, let's go to Leviticus chapter 10, verse 10.
Leviticus 10 and 10.
Leviticus 10 and 10. Okay? Leviticus 10 and 10 says, you got it. What does it say there, brother?
so as to make distinction between the set apart and profane, and between the unclean and clean.
Right, and verse 8 says, and Yah spoke to Aaron, saying, do not drink wine nor strong drink, you nor your sons with you, when you go into the tabernacle of the congregation. These shall die. It shall be a statute forever throughout your generation, and that you may put a difference between set apart and unset apart, and between between unclean and clean. Let's go to Ezekiel chapter 22, verse 26. Ezekiel 22, 26. Okay, listen what the Creator Yah has to say. 22 and 26. Okay, let's start at 25. It says, there is a conspiracy of her prophets in the midst thereof, like a roaring lion ravening the prey. They have devoured souls. They have taken the treasure and precious things. They have made her many widows in the midst thereof. Her priests have violated my law, okay, and have profaned my set apart things. They have put no difference between the set apart and profane, neither have they showed difference between the unclean and the clean, and have hid their eyes from my Sabbaths, and I am profane among them. Okay, look what it says in Ezekiel chapter 44 and then verse 23. Now this is in the millennial kingdom here now. He's speaking about in the millennial kingdom. Ezekiel 44, 23. Listen what he says, okay? It says, yeah, go ahead.
And they are to teach my people the difference between the set apart and the profane, and make them know what is unclean and clean.
Keep going.
And they are to stand as judges in a dispute, and judge it according to my right ruling.
Yes.
And they are to guard my Torah and my laws and all my appointed festivals, and set apart my Shabbat.
So see, Yah is giving the priest the responsibility again to teach the nations, to teach the people the difference between clean and unclean. This is why, first of all, that's why Yah established the difference between in the animal kingdom, between animals that are clean and unclean, animals you can eat, animals you cannot eat. The animals are not bad because everything he made is good, everything in its own purpose and place. But he has established, okay, these are clean, these are unclean, okay? Right. All his law, statutes, and judgment, he said, okay, this is what's clean, this is unclean. And he gave us these laws to teach us about how to live a set-apart life.
You know, you mentioned again in Zechariah 14, the scriptures mentioned 14:16. Zechariah 14:16 says, and it shall be that all who are left from all the Gentiles which came up against Jerusalem shall go up from year to year to bow themselves to the King Yahweh of hosts, yes, and to observe the festival of booths. Yes. Somebody asked the question, well, how are we gonna we're gonna observe it spiritually?
You know,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, the way we observe things spiritually is by doing it physically.
Right.
It's just like how do you eat? Okay, how do you eat a nut? What do you have to do?
Crack the shell.
So it comes with shell. The inside, you got the outside comes the inside. Okay, when you talk about spiritual, right? Okay, when we do things spiritually, how are we spiritual? By doing what Yahweh said. Do something.
Shaul Paul simply said that the law is spiritual.
The law is spiritual.
And the flesh can't do it.
No.
The flesh can't keep it. So again, it said they're going to keep the Feast of Tabernacles.
So the flesh can't keep it until what?
The flesh can keep it until
when
you got to be. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
What, you got to be renewed. You got to be born from above. You got to be. Right. We received the payment. Yahushua has paid the penalty for the sin. Therefore, the enmity that we have, the hostility toward Yahweh's instructions, now we're able to keep it.
Right, and when you say the enmity, the hostility means that the flesh, the nature of the flesh to disobey.
Naturally, right. But Shaul said, "O wretched man I am, who should deliver me from torment death?" I thank Yahushua HaMashiach that through the flesh I serve the law of sin, but through the mind the law of the Messiah. So we submit to it.